Hey, Kevin Inoue here again from Fight Designer LLC for another PewTube video. I just wanted to share a couple of quick things. If you saw my most recent video talking about the problem with the Zoraki 9mm PAK revolvers and trying to find non-full load blanks that'll fit in those, that show's been going fine. Some of the blanks, I had some older blanks, and so some of those had some misfires, so I swapped out for some fresher blanks and drilled those out. Seems to be working fine now. And again, that's a show that has calls for 4 shots in a row, followed by click, 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 click. And that's more than most live theater needs. Most shows, you just need 1 or 2 shots, or else, and it still doesn't change the story, even if there's only 1 shot, so that's the good news. It was never a story issue. But it seems to be working fine, and the volume level's about right for Obama Theater. But what about semi-automatics? Because frankly, most modern characters and most modern plays really ought to involve modern firearms, semi-automatics. And the problem still is nobody really makes a 22 or a half load or something like that, blank firing semi-automatic, that's available in the US. Now, I did see a really cool thing on YouTube. I don't know where these are available, sadly not in the US yet, but check this video out. What they're doing is they're using spacers to have something that is eventually sort of the size of a 9mm, but you slide a 22 inside it. I have no idea what the volume level is. These are not the little 22 Acorn blanks. These are more like nail gun 22 blanks. But that's still going to be a lot better than a full load 9mm, and I really wish we had this option here in the US. I really like the idea of this, and I don't know if that's something where maybe, because it still chambers the same size, maybe it would just be a matter of getting some of these casings to put in a 9mm PAK prop and using weaker springs? I don't know. Would weaker springs on the slide allow it to cycle with less pressure, or would it need a restrictor or something as well? I don't know. It's an interesting thought. Frankly, I wish we could get those over here, and that the inserts weren't black. I mean, let's make them look sort of right. So if you could get them in brass or aluminum or whatever, but I mean, I think if you could get that prop, we could probably find a way to machine or 3D print or something those casings in a way that would work. So that's something that maybe someday will be on the horizon for those of us who do live theater in the US as well. In the meantime, I want to share a couple other things I did find that work. One is these. Now, these are designed to allow you to do dry fire practice with your firearm and not have the slide lock back every time like it's meant to do once you're out of ammunition. Oh, only with a magazine in it. Let me take this back out. Well, I'll show with this in first. So what this does, these slide in at the top, on top of your follower, like you were loading a round into your prop gun. They are made to work in real firearms, so you do have to cut off the tip to make them fit in these 9mm PAK magazines. Because again, 9mm PAK rounds are shorter than a real 9mm because they don't have a projectile on the end. But if you chop that end off, slides back fine, and now that's going to cycle just fine and not stick back. So often we only want to load as many live rounds as we need, but we don't want the character to look like they're out of ammunition, just the actor to not have a loaded gun when they're lying down and playing dead, or if they have to fight over it or something like that. You'd never want to fight over a live blank gun. But if you did have a scene where you couldn't do a prop swap, they wanted a long take and you wanted like 4 shots, and then someone comes up and grabs the gun off them, this would allow you to do something like that, where we hear all 4 shots have gone off, so we know that there's no more live rounds in it, but the slide doesn't lock back because we use one of these. And as you can see, without that loaded in the top of the magazine, the slide locks back after the last shot. Yes, you can also do things like just cheat and hold down the slide release with your thumb or whatever, stuff like that. But, why should you have to? So then the other question is, hey, now that we've got these primer-only 9mm PAK blanks, can you use them in a semi-automatic? And the answer should be yes, but they won't cycle. So I thought I'd go ahead and test that today and just demo it for you. So here we have 9mm PAK blank being fired out of a Zoraki 2918 9mm front vent blank gun. So there we see. We got a sound. I'll go back and look at the footage to see if we got any flash, but did not eject the casing. Slide didn't move at all. Now, interestingly, this is also one of the ones where when I was first experimenting with how to make these primer-only rounds, I cut the end of it off, and so it's shorter. This one actually wouldn't have worked in those Zoraki Revolvers because it would just go in too far and the firing pin couldn't reach. But interestingly, however they make the chamber on these, at least on these Zorakis, it did work in that. But still, probably the best and easiest way is just to drill out the front, dump out the powder there. So yes, if you just need one shot with a semi-automatic on live stage, this could be an option, and it gives you a decent volume level. But you won't get the slide movement, you won't get a shell casing coming out, for better or for worse, and you only get the one shot. If it misfires, well, maybe you can rack the slide and get a second one that way. I don't know, up to you. So those are my shares for today. Maybe I'll have more later in the summer. My classes are done now. I'll be turning in my grades in a day or two. And I don't have a whole lot of gigs lined up. I'll be at the Brawl of America Stage Combat Workshop at the end of May, teaching firearms as well as some other stuff. So if you're interested, I hope to see some of you there. But otherwise, I'll be continuing to work on some of my motion capture stuff. There's more on that on the Fight Designer channel, and I'll keep posting updates there. And, you know, I've got some props projects that I want to catch up on, and a lot of work around the house and other stuff. But I have an acting gig next week, but not a lot of stunt stuff. So we'll see. We'll see how much I end up sharing through PewTube or Fight Designer LLC. But until I do, stay safe, stay sane, look good, have fun, and I'll see you next time.